Good morning. So down here in the shop today, and I want to talk about a little bit of a struggle that I've had with my old Toro Realmaster machine here. I posted about it in other videos. So last year this happened. Last year was the first year I had this machine. Towards the end of the season, I started to notice this more. As the grass gets thicker, the reels start to float on the grass, which is very common with the reel mower, and you need to do a verticut and a height cut reset. Well, my yard is huge. So like some of these guys with the little baby yards that go by your little Sunjo verticutter and stuff, it would take me like 3 freaking days to do my front yard with one of those machines. It would take me forever to do that. So I don't have the time to verticut that. So last year I did do a height to cut reset in July. I think it was towards the end of July. I can't remember. Yeah, I think it was towards the end of July. I did a height to cut reset, scalped it back down to like 1/4 of an inch. That took a lot of effort. I had to kind of do it, and I had to scalp a little bit off and then drop the reels a little bit more and do it some more because the reels just couldn't cut. It was so thick they couldn't cut that much off at one time. So I kind of had to work my way down. I ended up like quadruple cutting the yard. So I got it all cut down, height to cut reset, sucked up all the clippings with the riding mower with the bagger on it, got all that reset, did great again till towards the end of the season. I started getting floating. And so I've been kind of playing around with these counterbalance springs right here. And I've been playing around with those, and I noticed again what was starting to happen is the back reel. There's 3 reels on a triplex, and there's a little bit of overlap here. So the back reel up underneath there, you can't really see it from here, but it kind of overlaps cuts to about right here on this. The total width of this cut here on this mower is 72 inches, so 6 feet wide of a swath that it'll cut. These are 30-inch, I want to say these are 30-inch or 27. These are 27-inch wide reels. But either way, it starts to kind of cut uneven. And what happens is the back reel starts to actually cut deeper than the rest of it because I guess there's just more ground pressure on the back reel versus the front reels. The front reels are a little bit more lighter weight. So what I thought I would do then last year, even though if you set the height of cut, all my reels are set with the exact height of cut. The way I set these is there's adjustments here, and then there's adjustments in the back, and I basically take a 2-foot level, and I put it across. I bridge the reels. I don't have one of those AccuGauge cut things. I should get one. I guess I should get one, but I basically just use a straight edge right across the rollers from roller to roller, which mimics the ground level. And then I have just a bunch of shims that I've measured out. They're just wood shims that I use I have some feeler gauges over there where I measure out the width, and I just use those and make sure they fit nice, and I figure out how well they slide in between the straight edge and the bottom of the bed knife, and that gives me my height of cut. So even if all the reels are set exactly the same, I was still getting the back reel cutting deeper than the front reels. So then what I decided to do, okay, well, let's back off the counterbalance springs and let the front reels dig a little bit deeper into the ground, or take a little bit of weight, because this kind of counterbalances the weight of the reels. These things are heavy. Well, that didn't really work as expected, because then what started happening is I was getting a deeper cut out towards the outside compared to the inside. Or actually, no. I was getting a deeper cut on the inside edge compared to the outside edge just because of how this pivots down and the pressure it puts. So that wasn't working. So then I decided to play around with the counterbalance spring on the back. And towards the end of the season, to the average person, they wouldn't have noticed it, right? But to me, I saw that like slight difference in the height of the cut, and it wasn't giving me a uniform cut. Plus, I also need to level my yard pretty badly. I was going to level it this year. That was in the plans this year, but my wife had an unexpected medical procedure that we had to get done a couple weeks ago. So we ended up having to meet our deductible for the year for insurance. So there went all of my money that I was going to spend on top dressing, because I have a lot of Bermuda. So I need literally an entire tandem load of sand on my front yard, which is like over $1,000 worth of sand on the front yard. Plus, I got to go rent a machine and do all this stuff, and it's going to be a lot of work to level my front yard just in materials. Me doing all the labor with materials and equipment rentals, you're talking probably $1,500 to $2,000 just to do that in the front. So I ended up not doing it this year. I do need to level it. That will help alleviate this a little bit. But what I decided to do now is I got it really close. I was playing around with the different settings. So what I decided to do is actually put a little bit more pressure on the, basically tighten up the counterbalance spring in the back a little bit. So it was kind of pulling up on the reel a little bit. And what I ended up doing was I shortened up this distance here, because even at the top notch, it still was not enough here. This top notch is the most amount of tension on the counterbalance spring here. This little thing is adjustable, so you have different notches in it. And the way that you adjust it is you just pull this little pin out, and then you use a 19 millimeter. I use it on a breaker bar because there's a lot of tension on this. And you basically just remove this bolt here that holds it in place, and then you kind of pull back on it and push this pin out of the way, and it'll relieve all the pressure on the spring, and then you can adjust the notch. So what I ended up doing is actually playing with the length of this. So there used to be a small clevis and then 2 chain links here. So what I decided to do is actually shorten this up a little bit, and I got this little adjustable chain link here that I just had laying around in the shop. And the old length was probably about that much longer, so probably another inch, maybe a little over an inch longer of distance. So basically what this did is it put a little bit more tension on the spring in the back. And the last time I mowed, I had this set this way, and I had these counterbalance springs all the way up to the top notch here. And it was close. It was way better than the previous week in terms of evenness of cut, but the back reel was still cutting just slightly deeper than the front reels. So what I decided to do yesterday is I actually came back in here because I was experimenting when I was mowing last time. So I dropped these down to this notch and I tried to mow. And then what was happening is then the outside reels were cutting deeper than the inside reel. So I basically needed a spot right in the middle. So what I decided to do is actually drill, 2 more holes, 1 on each side, right in between these two, so that I can get a counterbalance tension that's kind of between this notch and this notch. Because I was like, this was too high and that was too low. So let's try it right in the middle. So we'll see how that does. I'm gonna mow it like this tomorrow. We'll see if that works. And if that doesn't work, then my next course of action is to actually raise the height of cut on the back reel just a smidge. So what I'll do is I'll just adjust the height of cut just a little bit higher on the back reel so that it doesn't cut as lower than the front reels. And hopefully that will resolve the issue. We'll see. But that's my plan. All right, well, stay tuned and I'll let you know if that works. I'm not mowing today. Plus, I also raised my height of cut yesterday when I was working on the machine. I'm gonna bump it up just a smidge. So I bumped it up about 1/8 of an inch. So I'm gonna go up, I was at 1/4 of an inch. So now we'll be at 3/8 of an inch instead of 1/4 of an inch on height cut. So we'll give that a try tomorrow and see how that works out. I'm gonna let the grass grow for another day or so. I did fertilize it the other day, and we've gotten some rain over the last few days from thunderstorms and stuff, so it's definitely growing. So I'm going to try it again, and we'll see what that does. All right, guys, stay tuned. See you. Bye.